Arkansas shoots way more threes than they really should and end up falling to the LSU Tigers by a score of 60-57 in the conference opener. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. I think the score tells you what happened in this game, which is that we lost the game 60-57. And
it definitely tells you that. The score definitely tells you that.
Well, it tells you that the problem here wasn't that the defense wasn't good. The defense wasn't good enough. We got to figure out how to play defense better. You lost the game 57-60. And they finished the first half with 19 points. This is the problem. Like, you can't do that in SEC play. You can't open the game with 19 points in the first half. I expect 19 points in the first half of a junior high basketball game. I mean, it's like that. That's not enough points. And I'm a defensive guy, and the defense was fine. There was one player in particular that we struggled with, but whatever. You gave up 60 points. You got to find a way to score 61 in SEC games. And the second half was much, much better, but only scoring 19 points in the first half. You can't come out sluggish like that. Now, Arkansas has a recent history of coming off of the break, opening SEC play, and that being the case. Is it just because it's young guys, new guys, guys that transfer in that aren't used to SEC conference play? Probably. But the offense looked terrible the first half.
Yeah.
Dude, so many threes. Like, earlier in the season, we said that they're the game where they didn't shoot a three. I think it was for the first 11 minutes of the game. They didn't even shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, you got to shoot some. But now I'm over here saying, you can't shoot 25. Not this team. Why are you shooting 25 threes?
Well, and those two things are, connected in that the reason they didn't shoot for 11 minutes in the first half is because they didn't have to, because teams were guarding them out there and they were driving, and they're long and, athletic drivers. And then teams realized they weren't shooting threes and stopped guarding them out there and basically asking them to shoot threes. And they haven't been able to respond. That could have been, if they were good 3-point shooters, that first fact would have been, obliterated when teams stepped off of them and then they started knocking down threes. But these are good basketball coaches, and they got scouts, and it's like, they're not, if you have a weakness, whatever it is, teams are going to attack it and try to exploit it. And every team has some weakness, whether or not, whether it be rebounding or ball handling or ball movement or whatever it is, defense, every team's got a weakness. And it's just a matter of, can your positives overcome your weakness? And not being able to shoot and stretch like, if it was just, it's not just shooting, it's how much harder it makes every other aspect of the offense. And if you can't stretch the floor, it's not an insurmountable weakness, but you're going to have to figure something out. And if there was anything disappointing about tonight, to me, it was just that this has been glaringly obvious for at least 4 or 5 games now, where that teams have been starting to go zone, or even if they're not going zone, just really play off the drivers. And Arkansas has been able to overcome it by playing inferior teams and
turning teams over, scoring a lot of points in transition, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they've had a couple of close games that they've been able just to pull out with gritty defense. But I mean, we already said this. We said, if they can't shoot, they're going to lose some games. Like, that's the way it's going to be. But it's just, how bad is it going to, like, I feel like they still need to, even if, because you can't make guys shoot better, but I mean, you can, it's too late to start practicing threes.
Please keep practicing them. You can get marginally better as the season goes on, but yes, you're not going to all of a sudden become a great 3-point shooting team.
This is something that starts when you're like 7 years old.
You could get Nick Smith back, and I felt like this was maybe the first game where I was like, man, kind of miss, like, I bet you Nick Smith would have really helped.
Yeah.
Not that he wouldn't have helped in other games, but we won all but one of them. So you're like, yeah, we do. This game, you're like, ooh, be nice to have a guy that you can do that too.
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely would have been nice to have one more even long jump shot shooter.
Dude,
You know,
zero here. Okay, so look, by the way, the sky is not falling. Like, I'm not worried about the team, or I mean, I have like, there's problems to fix or whatever, but I think they'll get fixed. Um, I heard Musselman in the press conference talk about, hey, what are we doing shooting 25 threes? I mean, he knows it. He's like, that's not what we do. Why are we shooting 25 threes and only 10 free throws? What are we doing? Like, go, yeah. And now these refs were letting they weren't calling much, which is fine. Like, I didn't think it was bad refing. It was pretty consistent. They were going to they didn't let them play, but still weren't getting downhill enough. Weren't getting to the free throw line enough. 10 free throws to 25 threes. That ain't our game. Musselman pointed that out, and we can't settle like that. We can't be settling for those shots. That being said, um, you saw Brazil being hurt and Nick Smith being hurt. This was the game where it showed up, and that makes you a little bit nervous because you don't know the status of Nick Smith. And what I mean is that you saw it show up is that you got nothing from your bench. And by nothing, I mean,
there wasn't even a bench. They didn't even come in.
yeah, but they played 8 guys, but Pinion played only a little bit, you
Yeah, he
know.
played like 30 seconds at a time, like
Yeah.
three different times or something like that.
Yeah. Graham played a little bit. Kamani played
Couple of
a little.
minutes.
Kamani played some decent minutes. 0 points from the bench. No bench points. You see the depth. Like, Arkansas's deep. They were deep. They're not deep now.
Mhm.
Uh, and we got to figure that out, man. It's a lot to put on 5 guys.
Yeah,
And so that being said, I think you're really hoping that Nick Smith can come back, not just because he can shoot the ball, that will help a lot, not because he's supposedly the best player on your team, that will help a lot. Just another guy, like, I mean, it's another guy that you can put in there.
yeah. And like I said, I mean, I agree that the sky's not falling. I actually still think that Arkansas is a considerably better team than LSU, and I like our
Mhm.
chances. If you made me bet right now on what each season is going to look like, by the end of the year, I would take Arkansas. Um, but they're going to have to figure some things out, and I think, like I said, the only if you're looking at the positive side, I mean, totally last. I
Dude,
don't think I'm not talking about being.
you played like total trash offensively the first half. We're down by 5. You end up losing the game by 3, where you only scored 57 points. The positive takeaway is that this team's going to play defense, and if you're going to play defense, you're going to be in a lot of games. Now you got to fix some stuff on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I would even say you could, if you wanted to be really positive, you'd say you played terribly in the first half.
Mm.
You turned the ball over more than you'd like to. I mean, more than they did. And
We actually
um,
had 10 turnovers. The turnovers weren't terrible.
no, it's just that they won the turnover battle.
Yeah,
And well, maybe not by the very last one. Might be tied now. I know they were up like 9-6 at one point, but we did
yeah.
get a
We
couple
we
there
turned
late.
it over 10 times. They turned it over 10 times. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was tied up. Yeah,
So
but you want to win. But you expect Arkansas to win the turnover battle in most games.
yeah, and Council, in spite, like I said, there was a lot of physical play, all that. Also, Council just missed like 7 shots.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
Musselman actually said that in the press conferences. He just said, uncharacteristically off night for Ricky. And there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, the ball just didn't
he,
go in
he
the
missed
hole.
he missed a couple of bunnies. He missed a couple of, not gimmies, but like 12-foot,
Also,
got good space.
also made a couple of really difficult shots because that's what he does. But yeah, it
Missed
was.
some free throws. You know what I mean?
Yep,
We missed
yep,
several free throws, some that would have tied the game.
yep.
Um, but that was from everybody. And you do all that, and you still, in the final
Hmm.
seconds, in like a lot of games, you actually kind of think that you get that foul called on Council, like
Mhm.
against, and he's
Probably
shooting free
in most
throws.
games you probably do get that foul called. I mean,
Yeah.
I was not surprised that they didn't call it in this particular game just because that's the way the game was refed, and that's fine. I'm not you can't freak out at the end when you don't get when that call is not being called when it hasn't been called all game. Like was it a foul? I don't know. Like it wasn't a foul in that game. The way they were refing that game wasn't a foul. What Council did, I actually agree with the announcer, is he said he kind of went up soft. I don't think he went up soft. He went up too, he got that steal and he was trying to do too much. He's trying to make a move where you want to just gather up in this game and that kind of game that's being ref like that. Just gather that thing up and just go up and just force them to call it, man. Don't try to do something in that point of the game. Just go get fouled.
Well, and that extra little sort of Euro step did allow
Mm,
a couple of those guys to recover just a little bit where they were, able to get in a
yeah.
position to at least, make a shot at a clean strip. And but also all of that, and you still have a chance to win that game against what is, seemingly a pretty good team. So, you feel like, well, so that sometimes that's the way it goes. You play bad, but
And on the
like I
road.
said, and on the road, right? I mean, and in that close of a game makes a big difference. Um, but like I said, if all that being said, like I'm not denting down the team, but I am a little
If you
disappointed.
want to add another thing to that, Musselman, I didn't know this, but Musselman did say that Anthony Black had been sick, had missed all the practices, and had just finally gotten one practice in, and had been sick coming off of going into break and coming back from break and stuff. And yeah, so there's a lot
Yeah,
of things.
yeah, and but like I think the only thing I'm actually disappointed and a little concerned is I'm surprised, and you have to watch the game to see, but like I'm surprised Muss doesn't appear to have a strategy to combat that yet, or at least not one that's obvious to the viewer. Because, like I said, this has been several games, and when they went to the zone, like you said, what are we doing shooting that many threes? Well, if you pick up the ball and you pass it, and then you go like this, and then you pass it, and then there's 5 seconds left on the clock, somebody's going to have to shoot it. And dude, those guys were literally, they were just all in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And like guys, and then the second they started to dribble, the closest guy would step out. So like you wouldn't have a clear, it felt like a bad shot to like, oh, I'm just going to pass the ball around for 20 seconds and then step in and take a 19-foot 2-pointer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they just started taking threes because, I mean, one
Yeah,
step back and, and I mean, and whenever they drove, like you said, it was so physical. They weren't having, I mean, it was crazy down there. Like it was,
yeah.
and it just surprises me that you didn't see him go like, okay, I've thought about this. I've watched the tape. We're trying to post up. You know what I mean? We're going to put two posts in there and we're going to try putting two posts on the block and then Anthony Black catching high post and see if he can deliver. And we're going to like just, you want to pack it in there? We're going to play all inside. And I don't know if that would work. But what I'm saying is, you don't, they just stood out there and just passed the ball around. And it looked like he was like, go make a play. And they weren't capable of doing it. And I feel like
I think the goal was to spread him out and try to attack and get foul. I mean, he's kind of alluded to that. So and some guys just don't do what you're planning to do, and and that happens. He certainly wasn't happy about the plan. I can tell you this: I don't know what the plan was, but I know what it wasn't. 25 threes was not the plan.
I know, but 25 threes is what you're going to get if you just
Yeah,
if teams are playing a really packed in zone. And because the other thing is, and 25 threes sounds worse, but like 25 threes isn't worse than 15 threes and seven 18-foot jump shots.
yeah. No, you have to get
So what I'm
downhill,
saying is
dude. You have to
you
get
have to get to
downhill.
the rim,
Yeah,
and you have to get to the rim with a strategy. Like you can't get to the rim just having Ricky Council go 1 on 5.
yeah, yeah.
It's not going to work. You know what I mean? Like they got to start. I mean, I don't know if it's screens, screen and rolls, pick and pops. We got to
Hard.
do something.
It's hard to do that stuff against zone. That's the whole point of
Uh,
zone. Like pick and roll don't work against zone. Like, there's a guy down there waiting for you. You know,
Yeah, what do people what is the like if you're playing chess, what is the strategy when you don't have shooters against a zone? Because I mean, obviously you got to shoot yourself out of a
I
zone,
mean,
but like,
it depends on what zone they're running. Obviously, like some zones, if you're playing like a 1-3-1 and you're going to try to get backdoor cutters, on the baseline. If you're playing against a 3-2, you're going to try to get someone into the high post and make that the post guy come up. And it's obviously different things for different zones, but
what
dude,
if
I
they're
just
playing a
think
five,
five guys in the middle.
five guys in the paint? What if they're playing that zone,
Yeah,
and then whoever's closest to the
you
guy with the
better
ball
you
just
better be,
dives out at him?
dude. You got to hit a shot. There's like you got to hit a shot eventually. Like there's
It almost
nothing.
works. I mean, they started hitting him a little bit in the
Well,
second half.
they hit all the threes they hit. They hit 4 threes, and they are 425. I mean, jeez, dude. Let's see here. They were, yeah, 4 of 25, 16%. Dude, shoot, dude, I can go hit 425 right now. Dead tired, freaking go get in the backyard and hit 425 easy.
Yeah,
Um,
but I can't even get to I can't even get the ball past half court if one of those guys is guarding me.
I know. I'm just saying like that. That's not good. 425, but they hit all four of the ones they hit in the second half. I mean, they were like 0 for
But what was their
13 or
percentage in the
something.
second half? Because it still didn't end up being that good, even just in the second half, was it?
Well, I think they were 0 of 13 the first half, so that'd make them 4 of 12 the second half. I mean, 4 of 12 is
Four.
all right. I mean, if they had just
No,
duplicated that,
you mean like they were over 13
yeah,
and then they hit four.
yes, yeah, so they were 4
So
of 12. Yeah, 12 and 13, man. 12 plus 13 is 25.
oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I was
Yeah,
thinking, I was like, I got you what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you're like, I mean, 4 of 12. I mean, if you just double that up each half, and if they shot 8 of 24, I'd be like, all right,
mhm.
that game's over. But I mean, you can't shoot 0 of 13, dude, in the first half.
Or four of
4
what'd
of
you
12 is
say?
fine. 4 of 12 is
No, but
fine.
no, 4 and 12
4
is the second half though. The overall is
4 of
still like
25, no, you can't do that. And then shoot 5 of 10 from the free throw line. You know,
it's crazy how bad they shot and they still shot like close to 20%. Like it feels like so bad. It feels like it was like 5%.
we shot 16%. It's really bad. The
It
3
is
point line.
bad.
It's really
Yeah.
bad. um, the
It felt like it was like 1%.
yeah. First half it was 0%. Uh
That's why, yeah.
the minute breakdown, dude, is wild. I mean, like Mackay plays 36 minutes, Walsh plays 32, Black plays 40, Council plays 40, Devo plays 40. So I mean, yeah, Black, Council, and Davis played the whole game. Mackay comes out for 4 minutes, Walsh was out for 8 minutes, and then you had Kamani Johnson played 7 minutes, Jalen Graham played 3 minutes, Joseph Pinion played 2 minutes. That's it. I don't know if that's. I don't know if you could like. I know Musk has run some short benches, but dude, I mean that's essentially not play. I mean, Kamani played 7 minutes. I mean, you're almost playing nobody. Like,
Well, and it's obvious that you don't want to play anybody because like he stuck a few guys in there. There was one time he stuck Pinion in there for like half a play.
yeah, I think he was doing some offense defense stuff. Like he was trying to. I mean, dude, I think he was. I don't know, man. I like Musk is smarter than me, obviously, but like when you put Pinion out there, I'm like, all right, yeah, man. If they're gonna pack it in like that, put him out there. Like make him not be able to do that. Like let's just run some stuff and get Pinion some open shots, man. Make him not be able to do that. And but 2 minutes into that, he decided no, for whatever reason.
That's that's the other thing. Like in a zone, when the other team's in a zone, it helps to practice quickly swinging the ball
Yeah,
because you can be more effective because there's like you said when you put Pinion in there. Say you want to get him the ball, but they're obviously going to focus on him a little bit more. It'd be nice to go inside out. And I know it's a little bit hard to make the inside pass when they're in zone. And actually, I thought Makai Mitchell was playing pretty well. I thought they should have tried to get him some post ups. And but it is true when in a zone, you can't catch the ball, look around, wait for the whole zone to shift, get their hands in the passing lanes. If you're going to try to pass to the post, it's got to be a plan. Everyone's got to kind of know it, and it has to be from the corner, push, 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 quickly bounce pass down to the post. I mean, obviously, unless they cover it, and then you just do it again to the other side. But like, I didn't really see them trying to post up. But
Dude, is Jalen Graham on the shortest leash of all time? Like
I mean, I was
that dude goes in and it's like, man, you better do something positive immediately. And if you do,
he
and
fouled.
if you get a foul, like a charge, like that's it. Your night's over. Like it is
He did.
wild.
I mean, he didn't he have two fouls. He had two fouls in
Yeah,
like a couple of minutes. So
yeah. I mean that
I was
dude
hoping he
that
would come in and give a spark, but it didn't really work. Well,
no, I mean that leash is short, man. I'm sure he's watching
well,
Devo play and be like, "What the heck, man?" So, by the way,
yeah, because Devo actually made some dumb plays in the first half. Like there was like a couple where I was like, "What is he doing?"
yeah, even though I think when it comes down to who's the player of the game, it's like it's either Devo or Walsh.
I think it's Walsh.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say Walsh too. I mean, he had 13 points, 9 rebounds, but dude, he was everywhere.
I would have honestly, I would have liked to have seen Walsh try to guard that other guy just a couple of times. Now I know it's hard when you're looking out there, like because like they're guarding guys their own size and their own speed, and maybe that guy just would have torched Walsh. But it it was starting to become clear that guy was feeling himself, and he was, he had nice touch. I mean, even though he was undersized, but he's like that Dustin kind of guy, like that bowling ball that'll just hit you. And he was going for the contact, and then he's able
Mhm.
to finish with his offhand. And Black is a great defender, and he was giving great effort. But just like when we played Creighton, a really talented, speedy guard. I mean, the dude, look at his legs. The dude's 6'7", and he's got tree trunks for legs. He
Mhm.
can't move that fast. He's got great straight line speed, but that guy's a dart. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He was getting to his spot, and it was enough that Black wasn't able to let his size overcome it. So, and then they put Devo on him, and I thought Devo played amazing in that. I mean, of course, it was over by then. I mean, the game was, it was, I thought they maybe should have tried some different people sooner because I thought it was kind of clear that Black was having trouble staying in
Mhm.
front of him. And but they put Devo on him that one time, and I thought Devo played great defense, but it was the opposite then. Devo was with him chest to chest more so than Black was, but he wasn't long enough to be able to keep that
Mhm.
from, him from getting it up there. And I would have liked to seen what because I know Walsh is not as quite as fast laterally as Devo, but he's way bouncier
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
little bit longer. And I would like to see if maybe Walsh, although I mean, for all what do I know? Like Walsh, probably his guy maybe would have ripped everybody up. But I would like to see him try because he seemed like the right mixture of speed and athleticism to give
Yeah.
that guy a little bit more trouble. But
Yeah, and that was an unexpected, sort of guy to come out and hurt us. They had two guys they were trying to take away, and they took them away. I mean,
mhm.
I mean, Devo just locked up, and yeah, I mean, the now commentators are saying, good for Devo. I mean, is he the best on ball defender in the SEC? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like he's pretty dang good. Like whoever draws the Devo assignment is in for at least. I mean, if you're gonna have a good night, you're gonna earn it. That's for sure. I mean, Devo's
Mhm.
all out on defense, and Jordan Walsh. Um, I thought Jordan played really well. I wish I mean, he didn't shoot the ball particularly well. He missed a lot of threes that that he took that he's supposed to take. I mean, must have said he wants him to take them, but he did hit one, but they didn't go down the way you want him to. But his defensive effort was crazy. He had like some really timely buckets that he did get inside off, getting rebounds.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And he had a lot of plays where he touched the ball that
mm-hmm,
he would never get credit for. Just tapping out a rebound, tapping
mm-hmm,
out a steal, securing a rebound from for somebody else,
mm-hmm,
um, far out. Like he was just I thought he gave the most effort and like you said, I thought like there was a bunch of times where the game was close in the second half, and they started to get the crowd on their side, and he made a couple of he'd get a big stop, or he'd get
Yeah.
a big bucket, or get a little rebound. And I mean, actually, Black had a couple of those too, but I thought Walsh was the best all night.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. Well, I think we have a whole week off. I mean, this time of year is weird. So Arkansas is not going to play again until next Wednesday, and so they'll be playing at home against Missouri, who just got done smacking Kentucky right in the mouth. So
although, I mean, I know Kentucky's probably played better competition, but if you look at their records, like we're going to be going and playing a Missouri team, another team that's only got one loss.
yeah, dude, Missouri. I mean, Missouri is no joke. I mean,
At least it's at home, but still,
Missouri pounded Illinois,
yeah.
and so yeah, I mean that's not a gimme. That's for sure. I
Well,
mean,
that's why it's such a bummer about this game is like it's always this way in conference. You start looking at not just your overall record, but your conference record, and like now we're in the hole, and we have to beat a really good surging Missouri team just to get flat again.
mm,
And if you lose to them, then you have to win two games in the SEC just to get even. It really
hey,
sucks. Like,
hey, just remember last year when we started out 0-3 in conference. And and that's the part. I mean, it's not, dude. It is. It's about to get rough. I mean, so you got a surging Missouri team coming in next Wednesday. Then you have to go to Auburn. Then you have to play at home against Alabama. That's rough, dude. Oh, yeah, you
gotta
know,
win, gotta win somewhere.
yeah, dude. That's rough. So, I don't know what the status of Nick Smith's knee is, but let's get it figured out. Let's get him in there. For if for nothing else, that we had three guys play 40 minutes. And that seems like I know like dude, I'm sure that the conditioning is great, but dude, it's hard. Like no not like 2 minutes break,
Well,
like
and
here or
that's not
there.
dude, a lot of guys can play 40 minutes and it's not that big a deal in a certain context.
Yeah,
If you're playing,
like you mean like in March when you're trying like in the tournament? Like how about all
no, no,
not like
actually,
all season?
well, I actually don't even mean that. I mean, there are styles of play. Like James Harden could never come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not that hard to
Yeah.
catch the ball and
Not,
shoot
but
it.
what
And
about when you're playing defense like that?
that's what I'm saying. Like if you're trying to rely on your team as a tenacious, turn you over, just ravenous defensive team because you can't score because everybody's playing zone on you and you can't shoot the ball and you're going to try to win playing tenacious defense, that is a tough ask when you're asking two or three guys to play the whole game. It
Yeah.
is hard to keep that defense up that long.
Yeah. If you're saying we're gonna get most of our points on turning teams over and just beating them down in transition, that's
Trying to
all
play.
effort.
Yeah, no, that's going to be tough. I mean, normally when teams do that, you see teams like those old Buzz Williams teams where like he'd sub in five players at a
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? And he just like every 4 minutes sub in the whole
Yeah.
team and like they just
You're gonna
run you
play.
to death.
Yeah, they're gonna like full court press you the whole game, and they're gonna just send in five guys at a time. They play 10 dudes, and they just like send them
Mm,
in over and over, and just got fresh guys coming at you all the time.
yeah.
No, that's we ain't doing that. So gotta gotta figure it out. And like I said, Scott, it's one game. It's on the road. It's an SEC game against a good LSU team, and we came up a little bit short in a game where we couldn't really have played worse offensively, especially the first half, and we lost by three. So you were fine.
And had a chance to win it really. I mean, or at least, you know, tie it up. So
Yeah,
if
yeah,
Council does makes makes those free throws, makes any one of those jump shots, gets fouled on that last thing. Like there's so many opportunities where the game could have
mhm.
gone the other way.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Up until about the last minute, I felt like we were going to win that game,
yeah.
but didn't happen. I mean, like I wasn't.
I don't know if they say Anthony Black. I mean, you got that steal, a turnover. He got fouled and he steps up to the line on a 1-and-1 and misses the front end. And like, I believe it was a 2-point game at that point. or maybe even a 1 point game. I think he could have taken the lead if he'd made both of those.
Yeah.
But either way, it's like you can't blame the refs or anything. We had chances to win that game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And let it go. So
Yep. Well, all right, man. We'll leave it there. By the way, the Razorback football team did win a triple overtime game against Kansas, which was nuts.
yeah, honestly, we'd probably be remiss if we didn't mention that. I didn't really care about that game because the football team, I kind of moved into the basketball season and just kind of forgotten about the football team because it was such a schizophrenic season. But that game almost like I was so irritated with Arkansas for letting Kansas just apparently they just thought Kansas was like, well, sorry guys, we're up 20 in the second half. You lose, so just
Yeah,
go home.
dude, it was a combination of things in that game. Um, and I'm not going to spend a bunch of time talking about football, but uh, Arkansas got super conservative, took their foot off the gas, just trying to run this thing out. That doesn't work in college football. I don't think it works ever, like hardly ever in anything. It's not a good idea. And I very rarely do this, but I gotta say, like, bro, officials can't insert themselves to that degree into football games, man, or
Well,
into
that's what I
any
was gonna say.
sports. Good grief, dude. I mean, like that was it's a good thing Arkansas won that game, because if they had lost that game, the amount of blame putting on the officials the Arkansas fans would have done, and somewhat justifiably so, would have been insane.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is like I was so irritated with Arkansas for letting go of that game and just like assuming that Kansas was gonna lay down and let us take it. It's like, no, guys, you still have to play the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? Like you still have to stop them. And that by the time they came back and tied it and went to overtime, I was like, we don't deserve to win this game. You know what I mean? Like they gave us the ball a bunch of times, gave us a big lead. We played pretty good, made some good plays, and then we were just going to sit down the whole second half and let these guys come all the way back. You don't deserve to win. And then there was that uh targeting call, and then that I was like, okay, that is some bull crap.
And what about that fumble? Like, dude, that's not a fumble.
Yeah, I mean that one though, that one they didn't like. It's hard to call on the field, and they make the call. The targeting one, they make the call, but the ref has a chance to overturn it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they look at it, and dude, that guy was first off, I'm not even sure it was clear that his head hit his head. It looked like his
Mm-hmm.
shoulder, and I know you can target with your shoulder, but the guy is getting hit in the legs and falling backwards. And I mean, this everybody's made this complaint, but like he's falling. The other player starts at a certain level and ends up at
Yeah,
he's they're both going down.
it's
And like
impossible, dude. You couldn't target his head in that position if you wanted to.
yeah, and such a great play to end the game. And they just like, I mean, as far as like, it was exciting because I mean, I didn't think they were going to stop him when he took off. I was like, well, he's going to get in there, and then they just stuck him, and it's like, so, and then they just take that away from you. I was like, all right, now I'm upset. Now I want to win again,
Yes.
and I
Well, I'm
wanted to
glad.
win the
I'm
whole time. But
I'm glad we won that game. Big game for the Lady Razorbacks. We said we'd talk about them. They have a game tomorrow against a really good LSU team. I am going to that game. So next time we do this, I'll have some thoughts. So all
I'll
right,
watch it.
bro.
All right,
Well, have a good new year, and I'll see you next week.
all right, man. See ya.
See ya.